Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, today is all about Chanel's. I am very happy to be doing this video. So I've already done my entire bag collection video, but Chanel, it's just special. It's Chanel. So I want to do a dedicated video for just things Chanel, everything in my collection that are Chanel. So very excited. As you can see, I have everything laid out here, which is not that many things, I would say. I mean, compared to some of the collection video I've seen, this is quite a humble collection. But nevertheless, I love everything in here, and it's just, every piece, it's special to me. So I want to share with you. And I also want to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about how I started my collection. If you're looking to buy your first Chanel, what you're supposed to be look for. I went through all that process when I purchased my first bag, so I will share my entire experience with you. So let me go through everything first, maybe just in the order that I've acquired everything. So my very first piece, and I do have a specific video for this, is my walk. So I love the wallet on chain, so the acronym is WALK, and this one is in the beautiful caviar leather, and it's in the gold hardware. It's kind of a gloomy day, so I'm not sure how the lighting is gonna look, but so as you can see, it's fairly new still, even though I've had it for 3 years and I wear it very, very often, and it's still in really great condition. It can actually, you can actually hold quite a bit in here. The newer model, you have the magnetic closure. I think they started that maybe last year. But this older closure doesn't really bother me. And then the new one also have a metal zipper tab instead of the leather zipper tab. Again, I think it would maybe help. I should really use a felt. So they give you a felt for the bag. If you use that, you could probably avoid this dent here. Like you can see, it's getting there. But I would never sell this piece. I don't think so. It's my very first Chanel. I'll probably keep it, so I don't really mind. There are kind of hairline scratches on the metal hardware itself, but overall I think it's a very carefree bag. I would highly recommend. The only thing is I do find the strap length way too long, so it's probably all hidden. So you can see, like, on me it's just like really, really long. I was able to wear it like that for a while, but for some reason now I just find it so long because I do like my bags shorter now. So what I do is I will wrap them around just one time inside, and this is a much friendlier length for me, I find. So this works really well for me. And I really still like the look. I think it's very classic, and it substitutes, so you don't have to bring a wallet when you use this. Obviously, it holds all your cards, it holds any size phone, like there's no limitation there. And just the overall very easy piece. It has a very nice Mona Lisa pocket in the back, which you can use to access your cards and things like that. And like I said, if this is your very first piece, I think caviar leather would probably be the way to go if you intend to use it for everyday use. Anyway, my first piece, sorry, took way too long. And then my second piece is this beautiful classic medium flap. So this is also in the caviar leather, and I've decided to go with a silver hardware simply because I already have a gold hardware in my collection. So that was my thinking at the time. And I also find silver looks a bit more casual, less kind of formal. And I just find the silver makes it easier to wear in the summer, maybe even, or go with outfits that's a bit brighter, like what I'm wearing today. And it just makes it less formal, and the gold is quite loud, so the gold and black maybe makes it a little bit too, and with a classic look, I think it maybe make it a little bit too formal. If it's a smaller size, so like if it's a mini or a smaller classic flap, I think the gold hardware would work well. But because it's a medium, I'm very happy that I decided to go with the silver hardware. And for the medium flap, it does work for me as a crossbody bag, so I'll show you. But it is pretty high, so I would have to carry it quite high like this, which I don't really mind, but it is sort of boxy and it is quite long for the medium size, so just be mindful when you're purchasing your medium flap. You might want to go with small, but then the small would carry even less. I would think the small, what it can hold, is probably very similar to a mini. So you know, there are a few things that you want to consider if you're when you're choosing the size for your classic flap. So that's my second piece. Again, really well loved. I use it recently more often now, but for a while I wasn't really using it because it was so pricey that I was just very conscious when I had to use it. Anyways, the next piece is this Coco handle. So I got quite a few pieces when I was traveling in Asia recently, so I'll show you guys all that later. And this is very beautiful as well. It comes with a detachable strap. So you can see there's a clasp there, the lobster claw, and it also has the Mona Lisa claws. I think this one is called like grain leather or puppet leather or something. I don't know if it's called caviar, but it's really, really similar to caviar. The grains are slightly smaller, I would say, compared to the regular caviar leather. And it comes in this aged gold hardware, which is interesting because it is aged, as in like some of the, you almost can see the silver tone underneath in the corner, so it does look like aged, but I don't think it makes the bed look old or anything like that, definitely not. And inside you actually have like it's divided, you have two sections, so if you like to be more organized, you know, that's something that you want to consider. It does have the regular, like the classic turn lock, and then it also has the classic Mona Lisa pocket in the back. It does also come with 4 feet, so it's a different sort of style, but it's very beautiful as well. And I think this color tone, I would wear it easily with anything with denim or anything with blue. So I actually think the blue is pretty easy to pair. Personally, normally when I use it, I like to handheld or just put it on my arm. So I think it's very cute. This is a small size, well, small or the old mini size, and they have a new mini this year, which is even tinier, which is super, super cute as well. But I personally think this size is perfect, it's more functional, and it's still really cute. I do prefer this size versus the regular size or the medium size, because I do find them to be a bit too large, and it doesn't look as, the proportion is not as cute as the small size. So I really like this one as well. This is, as you can see, this is my only colored Chanel bag, which is kind of sad because they have every year, they launch and release so many beautiful colors, but you know, it's just, you just gravitate towards black. It's, you know, it's hard to not get the black sometimes because when you have very limited collection, I feel like those are the things that black tend to be the one that you go for. On the same trip, I also got this beautiful card holder. So this is a very classic, like original card holder. It's quite simple. I have an unboxing video. So there's a slot in the front, and then there's more space in the back where you can put cash and stuff. This can totally function as a small wallet, so you can carry like other things as well. And I think it's cute with my wallet on chain, which is, you know, doesn't really matter because when I carry my wallet on chain, I don't carry my card holder. But still, I think the caviar makes it really carefree. I like it, like it's easy to use. I do find the price now to be a little bit too high, like if you're going with this piece, but you could also go with a classic, you know, like the classic card holder. They have a lot of options for those. I do regret not getting this in a brighter color, but at the time, this piece was really hard to get because it was like black with gold hardware. So when they said they had it in store, I just had to like pick this one up. So all right, just gonna 1 sec. All right, sorry about the interruption. So I just talked about the card case. The next item is actually this one here. So I got this as part of it's a Christmas gift from my husband. I have my dog right now. So this one actually came with the special holiday packaging. So it was really pretty. It's so it was 2019 Christmas. So it's just, I do also have an unboxing video for this as well. It's sort of a light gold tone, so it's more like a champagne gold with pearls and stones on it as well. I think it's a really nice size for either coats or sweaters. I use it like on everything. I was really obsessed with getting different brooches at one point, but now I realize you probably just need one or two because you don't really have that many occasions to be wearing them. But I really like this one. I use it quite often. And then I also got this one as a gift. So this one is actually from my sister-in-law, and she just doesn't use it very often. I personally love it. I can use it as a necklace too, so it doesn't have to be a tiny brooch. But this is a perfect size for like a dress or a shirt, something a bit more minimal, and it's just so shiny. Like she didn't use it, so it was like basically brand new. So that's my 2 brooch collection that I got for Christmas. Following that, for my birthday, I got this beautiful mini reissue, and if you guys watch my channel at all, I use this bag a lot, and I use this bag as a comparison piece very, very often. So I really love it. This is kind of comparable to the mini size, and it comes in this distressed calfskin and aged gold hardware. So it makes it really carefree. Like I actually accidentally squeezed the bag, and now I'm just like making a shape, reshaping it. But it's, you know, because it's kind of a soft distressed skin, if you happen to scratch it or fold it by accident, it won't really show because it does have all that kind of folded look all over the skin. And then this chain length is actually very nice because you can use, I'll show you guys how it looks on me. So it looks really nice, just double chain. And if you do it crossbody, which is, you know, the most comfortable way, is also very, very comfortable. I think it's shorter compared to a regular size mini, but I think it's just the right length for me. Even now I feel like it could be a little bit higher, but I think this is super comfortable. So if you're wearing a coat or an oversized sweater or shirt or something like that, it actually does still work really well. So I think this is, I've mentioned quite a few times, this is probably my favorite Chanel piece in my collection. It's just so classic because of the original turn lock, but you know, I love it because I use it often and I find it carefree. So for those 2 reasons I do, and it's just a bit more less common, I guess, in comparison to classic flaps. So I do find it, you know, I don't have like people wearing the same bag all the time, so I do like for that reason as well. And the last piece in my collection, if you guys watched my recent unboxing video, you know I've acquired, finally, I've been looking for a vintage piece for forever to add to my collection. So finally I was able to find one that I really love, that it was in the price range that I can, you know, feel comfortable and think was really well worth it. The condition was good. I mean, it wasn't brand new condition. Like when you look through the different ranking they either have like new or brand new or good, or, you know, this one is like new condition, which I think it's fair, but I do think it's not, how do you say, like, I don't know what's your interpretation of like new, but you can definitely see the age on the bag. You know, it's not like, you can tell it's not a brand new bag, but in a way that there's no major like tears or like no major scratches, nothing is broken, everything is functioning well. I think it does make sense for that ranking. Some of the leather has dimples on them. I think for this one is unavoidable because you tend to grab it like this, so your fingers will go directly to these 3 quilts. So these 3 are the ones that got damaged the most. And then, but everything else, like if you see other spot of the bag, even when you open up the flap, you can tell the quilts are really nice and puffy still, and it's beautiful and shiny. For a lambskin bag, there's very little scratch on it overall. I think there's very little like minor, just like major scratches. There are some very minor scratches. The hardware is 24K gold, which makes it really saturate. And when you compare to the gold on this wallet and chain, I feel like you can tell it's a 24K, right? Sorry, I think the lighting just got really, really dim, but it's definitely a feature that they used to do, like the gold coated hardware, which they don't anymore. But so that's I think one of the big reasons why a lot of people gravitates towards vintage bag is for the gold hardware and the fact that they're coated with 24K gold. I mean, it doesn't makes the bag more valuable in any means, by any means. Like you could, there's certain price that you would pay for old vintage bag, right? So, but I think for some reason people just feel like when it's coated with gold, that's one aspect that makes a bag really classic. It's express luxury by that, with that. So I do feel like that's something people do consider. You can actually get these locks repaired or replaced after a while because they do wear. So some people do go into the boutiques and request for these to be replaced. And I think at one point I saw it was maybe $300-400 sometimes. So the price might have changed, but I think it'll vary, depends on where you are in the world. But anyways, this is my latest addition to my collection. I'm actually curious to see what's the drop length difference with my mini. Yeah, so the length, yeah, so my mini is still a bit longer if I have to compare just the strap. But this one actually do have a not much longer, but slightly longer strap compared to the classic flap, which actually makes it a very comfortable crossbody bag. So I love it. I love this crossbody length. I think it's absolutely perfect for a bag, and I just think such a good buy. I'm very excited to be using this bag more. And this is the look with double strap. And then finally as a clutch, which I also think is very cool. And I have to say now, this bag is my Chanel bag that holds the most item inside. So because it's a single flap, it actually makes it pretty spacious. So this one actually does hold more than my classic medium flap. So for that reason, I also think it's a really, really good buy. Okay, so if you're done with looking at the bags, you can feel free to don't have to watch the rest of the video. But I think the rest of the video, I want to talk very quickly about how I've kind of got into Chanel and why I picked these pieces and what are some of the considerations. So I think I mentioned in my unboxing for my walk, I was just turning 30 and it was for my 30th birthday and I just wanted a Chanel in my collection. I wasn't a big bag collector before that. Like I had a few Louis Vuitton pieces, but it wasn't, I wasn't super into luxury buying, and I got a job, so I started to have like pretty good income. And I bought a few contemporary pieces. I got like Michael Kors, I got Coach, and then I also got a few Prada pieces, but then it was, Chanel was just out of my reach, right? Because their bags were at that point probably around 3,000-4,000 Canadian dollars, so that would be around $2,500 US. At that time, that seemed like a lot of money for a bag, but now, now looking back, it's not. So anyways, fast forward, I was 30, and then I called up the boutiques. I don't have a boutique in my store, which just makes it another challenge, right, when I'm considering buying, because I don't get to see the bags, I don't get to try them on. I know I wanted one, but I didn't have a lot of knowledge about, what it is, which one is nice and all that stuff. So I basically call up my nearby stores, and the salespeople or the sales associates are really, really helpful. I actually ended up talking to a manager about which one to buy and whether there's an option to ship. So at the time, they said they can't really ship any products because unless you're an existing customer, and obviously I wasn't one because it was my first one, but she gave me some really great kind of insight on what to get first. So I asked her, I was like, this is my first one, what's your recommendation? She recommended the medium flap. So she said this is their biggest seller, this is what people go for, and this is, what most people would buy as their first piece of Chanel. And I was like, okay, so how much is this bag? And she, I think at the time, told me it was 6,200 Canadian dollar plus tax. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy for a purse. Like that's way too much for what I can afford, and what's the other options? So the next thing she recommended was the wok. I think I vaguely remember she might have recommended the minis, but at the time, honestly, that year, minis were just starting to be very popular, I think. So either she recommended it or I didn't really pay attention. But anyways, this one was the next one that she recommended, which at the time was only $2,200, I believe, and then plus tax. So it was in my budget, and I was like, okay. So I did some research at night on the different leather, on the different hardware, and then ended up deciding that yes, I want the gold and the caviar because I do plan to use it often, which I did. So after I purchased this one, I did use it often. I have to say though, now I have this vintage piece, even though I didn't have a chance to really use it, I don't think lambskin is that fragile. You know, people don't use it, don't buy lambskin, but I don't think it's that fragile, and I actually think it does look very buttery and luxurious. So if you are somewhat of a careful person, like if you do plan to take care of your things, or if you're thinking to buy it as more of a collector piece, like if this is your first like classic flap, for example, that you plan to have it in your collection but you don't plan to use it every day, I actually think lambskin would be a good option for you as well. Like it's not that fragile in that like every tiny scratch will show up. If you keep it well and you buff it, this one is over 30 years, and look, it can still look very nice and shiny. So don't be too scared of buying it, and just because if you like the look of it, I would recommend you buying. Now I feel like I could add more lambskin pieces in my collection, just because I do feel like they are still long lasting. They're meant to be long lasting, and they're meant to be used. So I'm not, you know, initially I would thought if it's your first piece, go for the caviar, but now I'm changing my mind, and I think, you know, they're classic vintage pieces, and Chanel, when it was first came out, it is all mostly in lambskin, and it does give that more classic luxury feel to the bag. So I still think lambskin could be a very good option. Anyways, so I got my wok, and then maybe a couple years later, I start to look into like maybe expand my collection. So I did my research and look at different options I could, and I just felt like if I'm not gonna get this one in my collection, I might never be able to, because the price just keep going up, right? And I feel like a lot of you guys might probably feel the same way right now. It's like, oh my god, right now it's maybe $9, and if I don't get it now, next year it's gonna be 10 or 11. They're going through crazy price increases, and all this is supply and demand, right? So if they increase their price, that means there are people who are still willing to pay that price to get them. And, you know, this is the world that we're living in. There's a lot of rich people out there. So unfortunately, we're stuck in that phase where we really want something, but then sometimes it's just out of our reach. You can look into the secondhand market for sure. So, you know, if you're willing to be patient and do research and keep looking, there are a lot of really great options on the secondhand market. But there's huge risk, right? Because there are a lot of scammers out there. This bag is heavily counterfeit, especially the classic flap. It's just, there are so many super fakes out there. So do use, you know, like be really, really careful when you're looking. There are a lot of really easy ways to authenticate a bag online now. So you can go through, there's a lot of Facebook groups that does authentication, or there's a lot of authentication services online. So you can definitely consult those before you choose to buy something. So for my vintage piece, another way is to buy vintage. Buying vintage, if you have a vintage store in your city, I think that's a really good avenue as well, because you get to examine the bag directly and then know whether you like it, try it on, give you different kind of, you actually can feel the bag and decide whether it's something you want. However, you know, the boutiques do charge a fee as well, right? So if I look to consign some of my bags, they're gonna charge me a good percentage out of that purchase, which makes the overall price higher. Now you can either look to purchase vintage through eBay or Kijiji, but again, like there are risks associated with it. I would say the way I always buy my pre-loved items, I will look at the seller and really talk to the seller. I feel like if it's someone who's genuine and who is willing to be patient with you, they will answer your questions. So, you know, ask when the bag was purchased. ask for proof of authenticity if they have it, and then, you know, ask all the questions that you need to ask, and if they're patient, they will answer them for you. Another very, very good indicator, I think, is to look at whether whether the seller posts any other items. That's a great way of telling if this person is just into luxury items in general. It's a good way to examine the other posts that the person has and figure out whether the items are real or not. If they only have one item and it's like a classic flap, I think I would be very careful and then really go through a lot of different ways to confirm that the bag is authentic before I pay. But if the person is, you know, if you look at the other ads and there are a bunch of other luxury items and they seem to be authentic, you know, that give you a bit of insurance that, okay, this person just have too much in their closet and they're looking to let go. So that's a good indication as well. And I am always skeptical with brand new items, right? So if the item is like fresh and brand new and not has been used, I mean, with Chanel bags, some people do purchase to invest and to resell later. So it does happen that they purchased a few years ago and now they choose to let go for slightly more expensive price. That does happen, but you know, is it worthwhile to go through that avenue? Again, like probably need to check just to make sure that the bags are real, authentic. Another thing to look for is don't ever get tempted by the cheap prices, because it's always a trap. Like, don't do that. In very rare cases, you're able to get a really good deal on a bag. You know, maybe someone needed the money and then they are willing to let go for half the price. Generally speaking though, if the price is good to be true, it's probably fake. So don't get tempted by really good deals, especially on Chanel bags. I mean, it's possible if you're looking for a Gucci bag or for Louis Vuitton even, and some people are willing to let go for really cheap prices. On classic items, even that, it's rare. There is, I mean, most people who are selling, they're looking to either make a profit or recovering the money they've lost on buying that item. So they will do the research and look through like what's the market price for those items, right? If you're looking to buy this bag for like $2,000, you know, it's likely that it's fake or there's some other issues with the bag. So just be really, really careful when you're looking to purchase secondhand at a really low price. So anyways, these are some of my very high level tricks and tips. And if you're interested to know more, I think I might do a dedicated video on secondhand purchases, because I do have a few vintage pieces now and I have a few other things that are just amazing buys. So I want to share those with you as well. If this is your first Chanel's, you know, do consider your budget. Try not to buy a bag on a credit line because it's not worth it. I think at the end, I think you might be very happy at the moment when you get the bag, but then very soon you will realize it's a burden and it is a very large amount to spend on a non-essential, right? So do consider all the factors, but I know how tempting they are. I went through the phase of just can't get enough. Honestly, I just regretted that I didn't buy enough because the price keep going up. But I think I'm done with that, and I do appreciate, I love everything I have in my collection. I think you can definitely take your time with growing your collection and, you know, appreciate other aspects of it, because, you know, the wearing of it, how to match with different outfits, sharing your items with others, maybe look at pre-look. Like, it's a whole, it is a hobby for me personally, obviously, and I do share them with you through my videos. But I do think it's something that can get addictive very easily, and you can definitely fall into the trap of feeling like there's never enough. But I hope this video was somewhat helpful. I know I kind of just rambled about a lot of things, but if you're interested to know more about how about my collection and how I picked these items and how I've grew my old collection in general, let me know down below, and I'm happy to share that with you guys. Thanks again for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.